this is Scott-Taggart, and I am presenting my project on STEM, the power of STEM in education. The main topic is going to be why STEM is indispensable in education, and just an overview of pros and cons of using STEM in the classroom and how we can help our students with this. So most of you already know that STEM, it's just an acronym for explaining the use of science, technology, and engineering and mathematics in the field of education, in the workforce, and many different places. It's just combining all of these topics into one thing. Typically in the classroom, it's to help with enhancement of learning, and it doesn't necessarily have to be narrowed down to these specific topics, but it generally is within those areas. However, as a teacher, I use it in many different topics throughout all of my subjects, including even something like language arts and reading. So here we have the history of STEM. Some main points was STEM was developed in the early 2000s in the United States. And then when we look at the U.S. National Academics of Science, Engineering, and Medicine, they showed a massive link in prosperity within knowledge-intensive jobs and the ability to work within these fields straight out of high school, meaning that the students had developed skills that were necessary to succeed and do very well in their field, mostly having to do with science and engineering, medicine. With medicine, it takes a lot of mathematical skills, and the U.S. saw this need for this innovation to be addressed because within society, we saw a huge problem with U.S. students not achieving in the areas of STEM. And this was compared to other countries outside of the U.S. and different areas, mostly with technology and mostly with math. However, there was a huge advancement in medical areas, procedures, different types of surgeries that could be performed, different advancements in medicine in other countries. And so the U.S. saw that students weren't reaching their full potential, and it was mostly due to our end of teaching them and preparing them for the changes that were coming about around the world. The report had predicted dire consequences in the country that could not compete whatsoever with the global economy, and they saw these students and these people that were just coming out of school and out of universities, and they were just fully prepared to take on the technology advances, different research studies, research methods, all sorts of ideologies that they had put in practice from even within middle school. So we saw that the attention was mainly focused on science, math, and technology in these other countries, and the U.S. was like, hey, we need to do something about this. Let's rethink the things that we're doing. And we saw that there needed to be a crucial change in those areas within our school system. So the problem with why STEM, like most important improvements that have come with education, it started in the classroom. It started with the teachers. The teachers play a big role in advancements within education. It's not just the government. Somebody has to notice a gap somewhere. And so it falls on the teacher, and within their classroom, within their students, they spend the most time with them. As STEM education continued to increase in popularity in the U.S., it was important to consider many of the benefits of a quality education that prepares high school students for college and their future careers, and even beyond that, as they continue to grow in their career, advance in their career, that they're able to put in the effort needed to help become successful and to even help their co-workers and even their classmates in school to be successful. So I saw a quote while I was doing this research, and it was across a picture of students working in a lab, and it said, in order to predict the success of our students' future, we must help create that future. And if we want our students to succeed in a world that's run by technology, then we have to set them up for that success. It falls on us. We're reliable to them to help them succeed later on. And the world is constantly changing, it's constantly evolving, and technology doesn't seem to be going anywhere. And a problem with this is that many people don't want to incorporate STEM, but we need to. There needs to be schools implementing STEM curriculum. Sometimes they're using out-of-date curriculum. Sometimes they're using out-of-date educational materials that pertain to STEM. It doesn't have to be fancy. I mean, it could be building materials. We could have cardboard, popsicle sticks, construction paper, scissors, tape, glue, anything that helps students get hands-on projects, hands-on learning. So we just need to have updated materials. Students need to know the advances in technology and the changes in problem solving within the range of who we're trying to reach. 10% increase from college recruitments that focused on STEM classes. That 10% doesn't seem like a large amount when you look at it, but when you think about it in a broad spectrum, 10% of students that are getting more college placement because of taking STEM classes. This is something easy that schools can implement. It doesn't have to be expensive. Even with public schools, especially for the financial end, they receive over $2 million in grants. Most schools, some grants go up to $20 million. There's a lot of resources when you go to the government website that you can find. Then we see cost. The lack of strong STEM education can remove students from the running when it comes to college recruitment. Back to that number again, 10% increase in college recruitment for students who had a focus on STEM classes. This is something that we can implement. Again, it doesn't need to be fancy. Usability. Schools want something that's easy to adopt, especially teachers. They want something that can just be intertwined with their curriculum, something that's easy to follow, something that students can even do on their own, possibly during seat work or morning routines, bell work, all different things where students can work together and keep themselves busy at the same time with a positive activity. And then on to design. Current study tools are hard to use and they're inaccessible for some demographics. Some schools, their funding from the government goes to simply purchasing textbooks or even providing well-balanced meals for students who can't afford lunches. So we need things that are easy, things that aren't fancy, things that are accessible. It doesn't have to be some fancy lab, though that's great for some schools, and that's wonderful that the Lord has provided them with the opportunity to be able to afford those things. It doesn't have to be some fancy lab where they're building million-dollar machines. Anything that gets them thinking outside the box, that gets them reaching that higher level of learning, the critical thinking skills. Another problem is the unrepresented students. When I was going through the research, I found that African Americans, Hispanics, Native Americans, and even female students, there was a large gap in STEM-related fields. They're less likely to take a job in these fields just because their school was possibly in a low-income area or it was in a rural area that had less access to these types of funds and these types of equipment and curriculums. Their school is using government money just to survive because of where they are, and so they don't have access to as much stuff. But again, there's ways that you can help your teachers on the government website for the United States Education. There's ways that you can educate your teachers on simple things that you could do. Again, like I said, it doesn't have to be fancy. They can use popsicle sticks, construction paper, scissors, glue, just anything that gets them with hands-on learning. So, solutions to incorporating STEM: close the gap. We need to close that gap. We need to encourage students of other nationalities, other backgrounds. They have so much to offer us in their experience and their worldviews. And females getting into these areas, they need to know that they're good at math also. They don't just need to be good at language arts or reading. They can do science. We need more doctors, more mathematicians, more tech representatives. All of these people and all of these different backgrounds have something to offer. God gave all of them the ability, and He has a plan for all of them, so we need to close the gap. The curriculum needs to make learning STEM easier. There's many different curriculums, but the simple basic ones are the curriculum that offer the same benefits as advanced STEM products. They still offer hands-on learning. They still offer critical thinking, problem solving, teamwork, as the fancy STEM products that are already on the market. Our target audience is teachers and educators. Parents can be involved, but typically this is within the classroom. This is with the teachers and the students working together and finding ways to create higher level thinking outside the box, putting their skills to use, how to problem solve, figure things out, and not just memorize things. Cost savings: reduce costs for schools. Many programs make affordable kits that can be incorporated into the classroom. You could even do escape rooms. I have an escape room kit for my students, and on a fun Friday, we will use our critical thinking skills to solve these problems. And to them, the students are learning valuable information, but at the same time, they think that they're just having fun. So this is a great way to incorporate STEM, is to use a kit, use an activity that you can get fairly cheap online. So again, we're closing that gap. We're using similar curriculum or products that are similar to advanced, more costly products, but we're keeping the cost down. Easy to use. Teachers are teaching all day long. They want something that their students can use probably on their own, things that they can use as seat work and for a time filler or a fun activity or an indoor recess when weather's not good. There's tons of ways to add this into the classroom. Teachers just need to think outside of the box. This is a simple curriculum, gives students the information they need to succeed in college, even the hands-on skills that students learn in elementary school, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, so on. Even in middle school, they're going to take that to high school. They're going to use that critical thinking and all of this background knowledge other than memorizing just facts. This goes to the Bloom's taxonomy. You can put this into use. It's a great tool to use with your STEM activities. Make sure students are always going above and beyond. Help your students get to a higher level of thinking. So an overview of STEM. It's unique. It's so different than just sitting there reading your textbook with your students. And your students just taking a quiz or a test and memorizing these things. It's unique. It helps the school, it helps the students, it helps the teachers. It need to market. Teachers and students want something nice. Again, nice doesn't have to mean expensive. It can just be stylish. It can be something that's in. Like I said, I'm going to use an escape room. That's something that's very popular right now. That's something students can relate to. They see it online. Their friends talk about escape rooms. And it's still educational, and it can be easy to use for beginners. It's not something that's very difficult. Authentic. It's designed with the help and input of students and teachers in the STEM field. Teachers have input. People who develop STEM products, they go to teachers, they survey students, they survey the teachers, they ask for their input. That's how they develop these things. People who develop STEM curriculum don't just do it because they want to develop something new. They want it to be used. It benefits them in the long run. So we have benefits, promotes creativity and out-of-the-box thinking. STEM topics, perhaps some are more complex, some are more abstract than others, but it's important to approach them in an innovative or fun way. You want to have active, interactive learning techniques. This is going to encourage your students, especially those from diverse backgrounds. It's going to get them curious. It's going to get them thinking. You want to have active learning techniques. That's with discussion-based learning, problem solving, teaching methods, having your students engage with each other. They're using cognitive skills. They're not just memorizing definitions or just listening to you lecture. Students need help with cultivating problems and solving skills. Most people think that STEM is only beneficial to those who want to be in science or who want a technology career or who wants to be an engineer or be a math teacher, math professor, or in medicine. This is not true. This helps students know how to think through math problems. This helps with math class. They'll learn complex thinking skills. In science, they're learning how to test a hypothesis for a science project. Students are learning valuable skills to help equip them to handle challenges later on in life that they're not even sure or even know that are going to come up. Helps them maybe start their own business. Maybe they want to be a business owner. Maybe they want to be in finances. Maybe they want to help a church with their financial needs. And helps them succeed in any type of career. There's really nothing that this doesn't help with. They possibly could create the next big game or even some great mobile app that helps people. So you just want to look around when you're out. Look around when you're at restaurants, at stores. You're using a computer to scan your products. You're using a computer to check out. Restaurants, they have ordering screens where you order your food instead of with a waiter. So technology is not going anywhere. We need to help our students be prepared for that. The next benefit encourages teamwork and collaboration. We all work with people every day. Perhaps we don't always have the same personalities or the same views. So STEM in education can help promote teamwork. It helps students learn how to collaborate, how to work together, and they learn skills that are going to prepare them for when they enter the workforce. All students in our classroom come from different backgrounds, and they offer a unique perspective from their life experience or from their home life and from possibly moving from another country. The church where I work and the academy where I work, we have a very diverse background. And students come from other countries and they offer something to our classroom that not everybody has. We haven't all been to another country, and perhaps they did something in school or they saw something that could help the other students in their class. This is going to help them problem solve again, record data, write reports. Perhaps you want them to give a presentation on it, or it could just be making an art project. But in the end, students have collaborated and they've been in a team environment. This is a valuable life skill. Even for somebody who owns their own business, you're going to have to work with somebody. You're never going to be by yourself. And also it encourages technology use. STEM education teaches students about the power of technology. I know technology comes with a lot of bad things, a lot of things that students can get caught up in, and this can encourage them to use it in the right way. It can help them be comfortable using technology and know that it's not all bad. Again, students with diverse backgrounds, they encounter new technologies and possibly they didn't use them before where they came from. And so it can help them be more comfortable, more confident, and more prepared for the possibilities for an increase in technology throughout the years. The world is becoming increasingly tech-focused, and this gives students a level of comfort with it. They're going to be using technology for many, many years to come, so they may as well get comfortable with it at an early age. And again, when I was coming across many different avenues of research, it says you want to create the difference between passive and active teaching methods. STEM helps with an ask, don't tell type of learning. You don't want to tell your students everything. You want them to come upon things. You want them to learn things on their own. The goal of active learning is to engage students and to get them to use their higher order cognitive skills instead of simply memorizing definitions. So development increased through STEM. Again, research. STEM helps develop research skills. Students can find and develop new ways to complete a task and create new concepts. Perhaps they can teach us something. Even they may learn a way to do something easier, and we could learn from our students. I've learned from my students many of times, and I just think that's a wonderful thing. It's a great relationship to have with your students where you're also learning. Even as the educator, we don't know everything. So pros to STEM creates creative thinking, helps develop problem-solving skills, creates teamwork skills, helps develop students for the future. There are some cons. It can be costly, but again, remember I said give them some things that they can work with and be hands-on. It doesn't always have to be costly. Teachers are not comfortable using technology. Again, help your teachers. If you're a teacher yourself, take some classes, go online, do some research, watch some YouTube videos even. There's many ways that you can come helpful to your students. You can become comfortable with it. There's many things you can do. You just need to do them. And some students find it difficult. Again, it needs to be accessible for all students. It needs to be at their level. You need to be sure that you're offering something at your student's level. You don't want to pull up a project and say, hey, this is great, but you didn't research it, and it might be for a 6th grade class when you're teaching a 4th grade class. It needs to be their level or they're going to become discouraged. And a lack of time. You can incorporate STEM into anything. Basically, every subject can have STEM incorporated with just a little bit of effort. Again, STEM involves problem solving, critical thinking, and less memorization. So this can be incorporated into all of your subjects. For a couple examples with my science class for the upper school, not my lower science class, but my upper school science, if they're studying earthquakes, I give them a tray of pre-made jello, some toothpicks, marshmallows, and they need to build a structure that's within certain height measurements and width measurements, and they can only use the objects that I give them, and it needs to withstand the tray being shook by another student. It's a great way for them to learn about how different engineers have to build in different regions to withstand hurricanes or earthquakes, all different types of weather-related disasters. For reading, I have my students get into groups and they have to take the bold vocabulary words from the story that we just read, make new words, and come up with a new story. Sometimes this is very interesting to hear what they come up with. So not only can it be fun, but they're learning, and these are simple tasks to develop new skills because they require thinking. So here's a little summary of some things that I found through different surveys and research. So this here was a survey done by policymakers in Florida, and they covered 100 public schools, and it showed that while teachers, students, and parents found STEM to be important, they do not believe that our children are being properly taught in the fields consisting within STEM. So we saw 6 out of 10 students, about 62%, said they consider a future career in a tech-based field. Unfortunately, as we said before, there's that unrepresented student. A third of those that responded said their schools are not doing well preparing them for a future STEM career. And 40% of the schools offer advanced classes in STEM objects, and there remains that gap between males and females. So interested in these fields, 52% were female, 72% male, and 95% of teachers said the U.S. Students preparing them in these subjects are important. Americans don't believe our schools are preparing our students. As I said, they believe that they could be doing much more. And I would say without a question, a solid STEM education is essential for the future of our country, for the future of our society, the world. Students need STEM education. It unlocks their potential and intentional impact and innovation for challenges that we may face globally. And that's the end of my presentation, so I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening.